Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at what I consider the best 8-inch Android gaming tablet on the market. And I have made a couple other videos on this unit, but recently we got some really nice performance updates, and I figured I'd go ahead and show off how this thing performs now. Plus, Lenovo has announced that this will be coming to new regions, and what we have here is the 2023 Lenovo Legion Y700. Now, this isn't the most powerful tablet on the market. That crown goes to the Samsung Galaxy S9. Done several videos on this tablet. We've got a beautiful 11-inch AMOLED display, but it is a much larger tablet. I would prefer using the Y700 over this, especially on the go, given the form factor, because performance here really isn't that far off from the S9, plus we've got a much smaller unit here, coming in with a beautiful 144Hz 8.8-inch IPS display. So unfortunately, this isn't officially available in the US just yet. Hopefully it will be coming, but Lenovo did recently announce that this will be coming to the UK, and right now I've got the global ROM installed. I do have access to Google Play, English language across the board. I can install all of my favorite applications from Google Play, or I could sideload anything that's really not available over here in the States. But yeah, I've had a really good time with this. This has been a really nice little travel companion, given the size here. And when it comes to these smaller tablets, it's a lot easier to find a telescopic controller that this thing will fit inside of. We'll take a look at one in just a second, but real quick, down here we've got a single USB Type-C port, and this is going to allow us to transfer data, charge up that battery. And the speakers on this do support Dolby Atmos. It actually gets pretty loud. Over here on the other side, we've got our other speaker system, and right along the bottom, you'll notice that we have another USB Type-C port. Now this can charge the battery up, you can also transfer data, but from this one here, we can actually do video out. So it supports a USB Type-C to HDMI adapter, or if you've got a display that supports a USB Type-C video in, you can have something that looks like this. Freeform windows, we've got multi-window support. You can run a game, watch Netflix, watch YouTube at the same time, and you can also play something else on the internal screen. And for me, when I'm on the go, having something like this really does help out to get work done, just having that larger display, and it works very, very well with a keyboard and mouse. When it comes to the specs of the 2023 Legion Y700, we've got the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. Of course, the Gen 3 is on the market, but those phones are pretty expensive. I personally haven't seen a tablet with the Gen 3. But with this, we do get one Cortex X2 up to 3.19 GHz, 3 A710 cores up to 2.75 GHz, and 4 A510 cores up to 1.8. We've also got that Adreno 730 up to 900 MHz. They do offer two different RAM and storage variants, so if you go with the 12 gig model, you're going to get 256 gigabytes of internal storage. If you go with 16 gigabytes of RAM, you're going to get 512. But both of them have a beautiful 144Hz 8.8-inch display. It's got a 16 by 10 aspect ratio and a resolution of 1600 by 2560. It supports Dolby Vision, HDR10, 500 nits of brightness, stereo speakers tuned by JBL, Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2, a 6,550 mAh battery with 45-watt quick charging capabilities, and this is running Android 13 with ZUI, that's Lenovo's UI. I've received several updates since this launched, and again, one of the big reasons I like these smaller tablets is the fact that we can find a controller that will fit this thing. Now, of course, you could always connect a Bluetooth controller to this and set it on the desk, but I love these telescopic controllers, and what I have here is known as the D8. It actually has Hall-based analog sticks and Hall-based triggers, a little bit of RGB or a little bit of LEDs around those analog sticks, and this tablet fits perfectly in here. Now, unfortunately, the D8 is not a USB Type-C controller, so it connects over Bluetooth, but it does work with iOS, Android, it'll work with Windows, and even the Nintendo Switch. But having something set up like this is really nice with that controller, so you don't have to kind of fumble around with it. It's just going to stay put. And the D8 comes in at around $15 over on AliExpress. You can actually find it for $12 in some cases, so it's definitely a cheaper controller, but in my experience, it's well worth the money. And since we're working with a Legion product, we do have a lot of gaming-centric features, like an on-screen overlay, which will give us all the information we need to know about the tablet, CPU speed, heat, battery capacity, and our FPS. Plus, at any time while playing a game, if we swipe over from the left-hand side, we get a plethora of different gaming features that we can enable. Voice changer, screen recorder, screenshot, do not disturb. There's a lot of great stuff in here, but my favorite are the performance modes. We've got a balanced mode, a performance mode, which obviously is going to give us the maximum performance out of this, and we've got kind of a battery saver mode, which works great for indie games. Even something like Minecraft is going to work fine in battery saver. Next thing I wanted to show off were a couple of benchmarks that I ran, and when it comes to Wildlife Extreme, testing out the Vulkan performance of that GPU, we scored a 2,806. Nothing to write home about. I mean, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 scores much higher, and when it comes to something like Antutu, we're right there at 1,029,176. Not too bad, and if you take a look down the list there, you can check out GPU is over 470,000, which is really great. But we are working with that Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, which is still a really nice chip. And when it comes to gaming, this is going to handle it all. First up, Diablo Immrtal. Now with this tablet, we can go up to high 60 FPS, but the ultra setting is grayed out, and unfortunately it's not whitelisted to go to that ultra setting or any higher than 60. And to tell you the truth, I'm not sure if there are any devices out there that Diablo Immrtal lets go up to 120 Hz, but at high settings, 60 FPS, this game looks great on this 8.8-inch display. And by the way, I am using an Xbox One controller connected over Bluetooth just to make it a little easier, keep this thing stationary while I'm playing these games. And Genshin Impact is one of those Android games that doesn't natively support controllers. So with this one, I am using a third-party key mapper known as Mantis. It's actually pretty easy to set up. Really wish we had controller support already for this. They definitely added it for iOS a while ago, but I guess they're making more money over on iOS. That's the only thing I can see. But yeah, with that Xbox controller, Mantis Buddy installed, got it set up so that controller is working with these on-screen key points. Playing Genshin Impact on this tablet is definitely a treat. We're at high settings, 60 FPS, and yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the performance overlay up at the top, we've got a pretty steady 60. Now, every once in a while, you will see it drop down, but I didn't notice any kind of major stutters, anything that really hindered gameplay. And yeah, having a really good time with this game on the Lenovo Legion Y700. Another one I wanted to test here was Call of Duty Warzone, and of course this is kind of plagued by low performance, bad graphics on Android. It doesn't cache all of the shaders up front. You've actually got to play through the game. When you're loading up, you'll see some screens that say the longer you play, the better the graphics look. And I mean, I can believe that, but I do wish they had that shader cache just download right off the bat. Either way, set to 60, high settings, you can definitely have a great time with this. And by the way, Xbox controller works right out of the box with this game. Another thing a lot of people like to do with their Android devices is cloud gaming, be it GeForce Now or something like Xbox Cloud Gaming. And recently, I've been running into an issue with all of my devices where I get sound cutting out. It happens every once in a while, and I did go back and test this on the Galaxy S24 Ultra just to see if it was this device messing up, and sure enough, it was happening over there also. But as long as you've got a good internet connection, good router, Xbox Cloud Gaming is pretty decent. And of course, emulation is awesome on this tablet. Here we have some PSP. I'm at 5x resolution, so we're way up there. And I mean, this screen can definitely handle that kind of resolution. I am using the Vulkan backend, and even the harder to emulate games are going to run at full speed on this thing. If you wanted to do, let's say, Dolphin for some GameCube, you could go up to 720p with some of the easier to run stuff, but native is kind of where it's at with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. And of course, you want to do some Dreamcast, some N64, Sega Saturn, we've got more than enough power with this chipset. And taking a look at a little more PlayStation emulation, we've got some PS2 using Nether SX2, God of War 2, 2x resolution, Vulkan backend, running at full speed. I mean, we've got a constant 60 here, looking really good. And with all of these emulators, we do have controller support right out of the box. So when it comes down to it, if you're looking for a smaller, powerful Android gaming tablet, then the Y700 is definitely the way to go. Now keep in mind, they did release one of these in 2022. This is the 2023 model, so it is packing more performance than the older version. And personally, I haven't found an 8-inch tablet that matches this kind of performance. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning, it's not the most powerful tablet on the market. At the time of making this video, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 or the S9 Plus, S9 Ultra is definitely the most powerful on the market with that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. Of course, something more powerful will come down the road, but we haven't seen a smaller tablet like this with this kind of gaming performance yet. If there's anything else you want to see running on the 2023 Lenovo Legion Y700, let me know in the comments below, and I will leave some links down below to where you can pick this up. I think you can get this over on Amazon, eBay. I know GizTop has them. It is coming over to the UK, and they really haven't announced the US version of it. It would be really cool to get something like that over here, but you can still buy this and use it in the US. Google Play is supported. If you've got any questions, let me know down below. And like always, thanks for watching.